Hey friends, in my last video I updated my website hanselman.com to .NET 8 from .NET 6. I also did my podcasts, and if you go down here you can see that I'm showing you the version of .NET that it's running on, as well as the commit and the build number. That you can go and search for git version DevOps Hanselman. There we go. Adding a git commit and hash to a .NET website. So basically this shows you how to set that up in the footer of your own system. And you may not want to give that information away, but some people will go and put that around an admin block. If admin, then show the administrator what it is. But I like it because it means that I can go directly down here, see what commit is currently in production, and then I could go and take a look at that commit directly. So here I can see exactly that I committed this 2 days ago, so I know what's in production at all times and what changed, which is cool. But some folks kind of low-key complained that they wanted more information about not just updating your website, but also updating your NuGet packages. So let's take a look at that real quick. Now I am back over here on the Hanselman It's podcast site, and I have backed up in time. So I'm on a detached head, so I backed up 2 days. Because I'm going to update the site again. Okay, so there's the .NET Upgrade Assistant, which is what I used before. Okay, that Upgrade Assistant is available in a CLI and also in a Visual Studio plugin. That's what I used to update from .NET 6 to .NET 8. For complicated websites that might want to update their NuGet packages, there's a great tool, one of my most favorite tools in the world, which is called dotnet-outdated. And I blogged about this 6 years ago, and it has since changed owners, and now it's over here at github/.net-outdated. And these two folks have taken up Jerry's original work, and this is the continuation of that. So this is a really, really great tool. Honestly, I can't say enough about how lovely this tool is. It honestly should be built into .NET, but you can get it by just saying .NET tool install .NET outdated tool. Now this is great. Think about it kind of like you think about Dependabot. So for example, if we go over to my GitHub and go to one of my repositories, I've got Dependabot that is constantly doing pull requests, right? So you can see right here, 6 hours ago, the Dependabot bot noticed that NUnit has been updated from 4.01 to 4.1, and then it'll go do some checks. So I can click on that and I'm getting a nice pull request. And the checks have passed. I can see whether or not that built. I can even go in and see the release notes and the specific commits of what changed. So that's a bot changing my versions in the cloud, okay? You can see also there's one here where my code coverage tool got bumped as well. But I can also do that at the command line. So I can type in .NET outdated, and it'll analyze my projects. Now this is fantastic. Freaking love this thing. Check this out. So look. Here, you can see we're still on .NET 6, okay? But I've got potential to update my health checks from 6 to 8. And what it'll do is it'll color these in yellow, red, or green to indicate whether or not it's a major version, a minor version, or just a backwards compatible minor version. This is great. So here's like a small patch. Here's a minor version. Here's a major version. Now you want to have tests. You want to have, you can't just blindly update stuff. And if you do, things could change. So technically, the old days, we would manually look at each one of these, just like I went to Dependabot. I'd look at each of the updates, the commits, and I'd make an educated decision. For stuff like these that are probably fine, I usually just run my test suite. For stuff like this, you can see that we're going from .NET 6 to .NET 8. These might include features that are not going to necessarily be supported, so you're going to have to put a little more thought in that. That said, we could go and run .NET outdated on this and then auto update. We can pass in .NET outdated -u for upgrade. So this is going to go look at those, and then check this out. This is freaking awesome. See? So it's upgrading each package. Now, sometimes you have to run it a couple of times. It depends. but it's making sure that they're on the latest version. It's going to upgrade them. And then, of course, again, you want to have tests. So I'm going to run my tests to make sure that this didn't break anything. I am doing this blindly, which is maybe not awesome. And then I'm going to look at the result and take a look at the versions that got changed. And what we're going to end up with is a CS proj. There we go. So now let's go and say git status. Okay, we've got our 3 project files updated. So then now let's go and git diff. See, look at that. So now you can see this version is now that version. This version is now this version. Okay. There's that minor update on MVC testing. And it did that for each of our projects. Okay. So now let's .NET build. Again, I could do all of this in Visual Studio, but it's nice to drive stick shift, as you know. Okay. Now here, these are warnings that I already knew that I had because I'm doing something crazy here in my Playwright testing. Where I am doing poking around in the constructor and things that maybe I probably shouldn't do. But these are warnings and they're not related to what we just ended up doing. Let's go and run the tests though, and see if this thing is legit. So now we're actually going to run code coverage, unit test, and also Playwright tests. And I'll do another video on Playwright tests. There's my code coverage that just went by. I want to point that out. Okay, and then hands off the keyboard, it's going to hopefully run Playwright, which is going to download Firefox, Chromium, and everything, pop up the browser, and then start clicking around to confirm that I didn't break the website. Cool. Let's go for it. Okay, so that worked. And then let's do our headed tests. There's headless tests, and then there's what I call headed tests. Headless tests run the browser headless. You don't see the browser pop up. And then I made the opposite of that, headed tests, which will actually fire up Playwright. So here we go, test run for Playwright. See, that's firing up a version of Chrome. That's a local version of Chrome. And now it's using the dev tools, the F12 tools protocol to click around on stuff. There you go. So I just ran those tests. So I didn't break the website. So now I know that I've got all 3 of those updated with the latest thing, and I didn't do any major breaks. Now, that doesn't mean that something's not potentially wrong. You know, again, you don't want to just run .NET outdated YOLO, but I just cannot say how useful this tool is. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's got a bunch of great options. It will go and look at how deep do you want to go? Do you want to look for transitive dependencies, like things that your things depend on? Just really a great tool, a service that is being done for all of the folks in the .NET space. So here, if I go and apply like the transitive dependency model, you can see that there are things that other things depend on. And this is now where I would update from .NET 6 to .NET 8, because you can see now that we're really getting into a bigger situation here. So now I would go and say upgrade assistant, which is what we saw in the previous video. And then I like to run these one at a time using the leaf node first. So I'm kind of redoing what we did before, updating to .NET 8. And then I'll run update it again just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so this is 2 different command line tools that are looking at my references differently. Do Playwright tests. Do that one again. So a little bit of a redo of our last video, but I wanted to put the 2 tools in context with each other. Okay, and then the third project. Someone in the chat was frustrated that they felt like this should be able to upgrade entire solutions. I kind of like doing it one at a time. Each thing is individual, and yeah, it requires a little bit of extra effort, but I think it was worth it. So let's go and build that. Now my warnings have gone away. Let's go ahead and do the quick unit test. Again, anytime you're afraid of your code, write unit tests. Anytime you're worried that something's going to break, unit tests. If you're still afraid, write more unit tests, and then it'll eventually, you'll feel better. So here we've updated to .NET 8. We're now running our tests again. These are, of course, headed tests. Looks like I didn't potentially break anything. I could have more code coverage. And I should probably do a video on this code coverage tool as well. And now let's go and do a git diff, and we can see our project has upgraded to .NET 8 and has updated its references as well. So then I would go and check that in. Cool. So just wanted to give you a little bit of extra context and also kind of an advertisement for that great open source tool, .NET outdated rather, .NET outdated. And that's 10 minutes. Cool. Now I'll go to lunch.